Well, they made headlines. Lives were lost, people were displaced, property was destroyed. I'm speaking about the floods. Quite tragic this year. And we want to do a quick follow-up, especially certain countries of this country were greatly affected, including Budalangi. And we want to hear from the Member of Parliament, of course, representing the people of Budalangi, Honorable Raphael Wanjala. Just the other day, the Azimio members and ODM to be particular visited the area and gave some sort of aid, relief to these people. We want to figure out if this really helped and to what extent. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I want to appreciate you, Mheshimiwa, for creating time to be here.
Thank you, Doris.
Thank you for creating time.
And thank you for being here, well, for inviting me here.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, I'm just going to pick one of the recent remarks he said. In fact, we played it on air. He said, all politics is local.
Yeah.
Listen to the ground.
Yes.
You've been listening to the ground.
Very important. That's why I've served 4 terms.
What's happening?
The time I never listened to the ground, I lost twice. Yeah.
And you have served 4 terms. This is a place I want to assume you grew up.
Yes.
Budalangi's floods are not new in Budalangi. Over the years, we have been seeing floods, but what was the severity this time? Is it getting better before we go to the victims and the aftermath?
Budalangi has had floods from time immemorial.
Yes.
And Budalangi is on a lowland. But that flood can be contained once the government makes that decision, because it requires a lot of money to dam those rivers. But as you are aware, they always say shareholders, that some people are not shareholders in our governments, and that is why you continue hearing of Budalangi being flooded.
People are not shareholders, but
they say they are not shareholders.
That's another political line. But let's come back home now. Over 15,000 families, you said, were displaced this time by the floods.
Yes.
We're looking at a month later, as much as the weatherman is saying that the rains could still be ongoing for quite some days. What has happened so far? You sitting as a member of parliament, you were just there. How is the situation? The resettlement? How many have you resettled, if any?
Nobody has been settled anywhere. And they have not been seriously been visited by the government.
Okay.
And they are staying in camps. Some are being hosted by relatives in various places. And the situation is so bad because one ward is completely gone, that is Bunyala South.
Completely gone? Completely
gone and still underwater. And another half, Bunyala West, also, and those places are densely populated because they are close to the lake also. Bunyala West, the area of Bukoma and Siginga, and then we have Bunyala North, the areas of Ruambua, Mudembi, Munani, Igigo, Budalangi, and Bulemia. And again, people living also along the lake. Because, in Budalangi, there are 3 types of floods.
Okay.
Yeah. There are floods that come from 2 rivers, River Yala and River Nzoia. Now, those ones from River Nzoia come all the way from Cherangani Hills. The whole of was in Gishu County, that includes Eldoret. The whole of Trans Nzoia County, Bungoma County, Kakamega County. And then all that water, the rivers, you see some streams upstream, all collapse in one river in those areas, and that is River Nzoia. Now, the amount of money that flows to Budalangi and then exits into the lake is enormous. So, and then on the other side, on the southern side, we have River Yala. Now, River Yala collects all the waters from Kapsabet, Nandi County, Nandi Hills, Vihiga County, Siaya County, and also leads it to all those rivers, collapse again, one river called Yala, then is taken to Budalangi, up to Lake Victoria, the destination.
All right, I might want to interject because with all this information, Mheshimiwa, you sit in the parliament. I also believe that in this country we appreciate research, data, and you actually started by saying it's not the first time we've seen floods, and you do know that this is a natural phenomenon. Why is it? Is it lack of preparedness, especially from Budalangi or the government? After this information is known, what you are telling us today, why is it that we still had people on this land at this time, even after the weatherman said, we are expecting these rains? Might they have been resettled earlier to other grounds? Was there a choice like that?
Anki, I want to tell you that there was one time in my history that I said, I thanked God that he has given me a chance to deal with that issue of flooding. I was appointed by Kibaki as an assistant minister for water. And I took serious initiative as an assistant minister for water to see to it that I must contain the floods. But you know, I was appointed in Kibaki's first term, and then I didn't make it for his second term. But I had already secured funds with the World Bank. We had already identified where to dam the rivers, because there is no any other solution apart from damming those rivers, and again using that water for irrigation. So unfortunately, when I lost my election when they had just started, I lost elections in 2007. And then there came issues of corruption. Then the World Bank withdrew, stopped the project. Then in the process, they used to keep on deducting that money, reducing the money, and I was out for 10 years. So when I came in, the only little money I got there was for irrigation. That was 5.6 billion. And then I insisted that now this project now again must come back. And the Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, as the Minister for Water, helped me, and it came back for that provision of irrigation infrastructures. And that's what we have been doing. We have created a separate canal along River Nzoia so that we grow rice, and we have expanded the farm. We are now one of the biggest, in fact, we are the biggest rice growers in Western and Nyanza region. And then we have also done the dikes. But my intention was to dam the river. That's why we had gotten some good money. We were to do a dam in Tongareni, and then we were to do another dam in Lugari, and we were to do another dam in Webuye, at Webuye Falls.
You were to do?
Yeah, at that time when I was in the ministry.
All right.
Unfortunately, I lost election. Whoever came in, you know, in politics, there is no handing over. And I don't know whether he followed up, because actually the project had taken off, whether he followed up or not. But when I went in, it had been stopped. I followed it. We started it. It was advertised. The contractor was awarded. But now that money has not come back. Indeed, I've tried what I could do. We have now phase 2.
Okay.
But you know, with the World Bank, you don't know when it will come. But we have really put in what we think should now help again to control these floods.
All right.
It's not easy when you are not on the table that makes that decision, because the amount of money involved is big. And you can see how many dams are there in Central Province, because there have been always shareholders, and in Western Province there is none. And in Nyanza, there is none. You can see the Nyando, the Migori, the Homa Bay crying the same story I'm talking about.
You know, someone would ask, do we learn, and from what should we learn? You're one of the vocal leaders, in fact, among those who called on the president to declare the floods that happened recently a national disaster. If we have that bite, let's just listen in earlier on to what the sitting Honorable Member of Parliament right in studio here with me said at that time, a month earlier, on the floods.
Ili janga ambalo liko saa hii, vile tumeangalia runinga, kitambo alikuwa wanaona tu Budalangi na Nyando. Sasa mimi nataka kuambia serikali vile wanaona sasa si Budalangi pekee, sasa ni Kenya mzima. Ingawa Budalangi tumeumia zaidi, lakini sasa imefika wakati tunaona serikali itangaze kama national disaster, alafu watafute pesa zile ziko zote zikuje saidie wananchi.
After saying what you said, are you satisfied this far that the president did what you expected him to do, that the government stepped up to support you and other Kenyans?
No. That is why sometimes we talk with the heavy heart and anger.
Anger, you say?
Yeah, because you see, these people in Budalangi and Nyando have suffered enough. Now, but when I saw some water coming to Maimahiu for a short time, you see, the whole government was there with all sorts of goodies. Mm-hmm. Yet when other Kenyans are under such situation, nobody attends to them. That is a proof that actually those other Kenyans are not shareholders, as they say, and others are shareholders, as if you may have read the Animal Farm. Some animals are...
Mheshimiwa, but the cabinet even sat down.
It is very, you see, if you continue, you would have heard me asking for army, that they should bring army to help our people. And I want to tell you, even armies in the army barracks is in Budalangi. And I even asked for National Youth Service to come in to help. The
president said they were helpful. Did they not help?
They never came.
Never to date?
To date, but they were in Maimahiu.
Okay.
Even CDF was in Maimahiu. But they never bothered him to come to Nyando or Budalangi. Yeah, so you can see the way the conduct of government is not, it's not fair to all Kenyans. Because some of our people in Nyando and Budalangi, since 2009, have never known what a home is. They stay in camps.
Since 2009?
Since 2009.
Okay.
Yeah. Not 2019.
Oh, yeah, because, all right.
Yeah, 2019. That flood, still, some people were still staying in the camps. And now again, the water has come. Even me, I know some of my relatives that their houses had collapsed. I came in and built them, and there are more than 5. I built them houses. Those houses again have collapsed because this water has come back before they settle. So even when I heard the president announcing the money that will be given to these people, we have not seen the 10,000.
Mheshimiwa, you do realize that this is a couple of weeks after you are saying on national television today,
yes,
as we're doing a follow-up, that none of this monies have arrived.
The government has not come in to do that. We have even asked that when they are building houses for these other people, they promise, wherever they were, as they were promising, we hope they will extend that to people of Budalangi, to people of Nyando and other areas. As a national leader, I may not only advocate for the people of Budalangi, but everybody who is aggrieved, everybody who suffered should be assisted equal like any other Kenyan, because they are all taxpayers and they belong to this country. They have no any other country they will go to. So they need their government to take the responsibility and help them.
All right.
Yeah. So I was telling you, in Budalangi we again have another water that comes from the lake. When you will see that all the rivers that flows into Lake Victoria, actually they all come from Kenya, including Mara River. It only enters to Lake Victoria through Tanzania, but it comes from Kenya. And then there's only one river that flows into Lake Victoria, which does not come from Kenya, and it comes from Tanzania, and it's called River Kagera.
Okay.
But Uganda has no single river that flows into Lake Victoria. No single river that flows into Lake Victoria. But the rest of rivers, name it River Yala, River Nzoia, River Kuja, name them, all of them. Nyando River and so on, they all come from Lake Victoria. In Uganda, there's only one river that empties Lake Victoria, and that is River Nile. So now these all waters coming, they fill the lake. Because you know what has happened also on River Nile, the hydroelectric project that have been placed there, even the dam in Ethiopia has also slowed down the movement of water. So the lake is full. Now that the lake is full, this water now surges back. That's what we call backflow. And like in Budalangi, it has gone right inside people's homes, like almost more than 12, 13 kilometers inside the land.
You know, somebody, sorry to cut you short, threw it out in the air that if there's weather forecast that's functional and this information comes to the public, is it intentional that some of your, constituents would rather stay there and wait for tragedy to strike, and then we have voices saying the government is not paying attention, there's no compensation? Because somebody's saying if their people were really intentional, people would be moved to higher grounds in good time. It's a question in the air.
Anki, if you have a child, you want your child to go to school. Do you just wake up and tell him, go to school? You must identify where the school is and the school you want.
Okay.
Then you tell that child, go to Nairobi school. Go to Nairobi school. Now here, the government is telling people, go to the higher ground. Which higher ground? Where is it? Whose higher ground? Has the government bought them? Who will allow people to come and stay in his land? You may say these people are going to grab my land.
Neighboring counties, maybe?
So how? Even the neighboring have no place for you unless the government goes and buy the land. That's knowing very well that there are coming floods. These people should move to this place.
Yes.
Because what was happening, as you tell them to move to possibly to safer places, even some of the schools, if they were to go to schools, where will the children go?
In fact, speaking of the schools, how's the situation in as far as education?
There's some, about 11 schools are still underwater.
All right.
Yeah.
Still underwater.
Still underwater.
We do realize that we're already into the second term calendar.
Yes.
So what is the solution?
As we are just enduring it, taking our children to some few classes that are not in water. I have done some boats which take them to school.
All right.
Yeah.
You said this earlier on the resettlement of these particular victims. Remember, as we're still speaking today and enjoying a few things here and there are some Kenyans still displaced. Honorable Raphael Wanjala speaking about 15,000 people displaced. We're looking at 11 schools still underwater. But what about the resettlement? Here is an earlier clip on the same.
Kitu isikuwe ya upande mwingine na upande mwingine hapana. Sisi wote tunalipa ushuru. Kwa hivyo ni jambo la muhimu ya kwamba hata zile shilingi 10,000 serikali ilisema itapeana. Hapa Budalangi hatujapata, watu hawajapata shilingi 10,000 ya kupeleka hawa mahali ya kukaa. Mumepata kukontrol maji ya Budalangi inahitaji vitu viwili. Moja ni ya kwamba tuchimbe dams kule juu upstream. Tongaren tuchimbe damu, Lugari tuchimbe damu, alafu Webuye waterfalls pia tuchimbe damu, ili maji haya yapunguzwe kukuja kusumbua watu wetu.
I will do further research on this. It's quite, disheartening to hear, especially from you, Honorable Raphael Wanjala, that what ought to be done has not happened yet for Kenyans who first vulnerable
61
children.
years after independence.
61 years after independence.
Yes,
but you said you could also take your advantage.
And even, I don't think, when the current president came in, he said he's going to do 100 dams. And then I said, wow, possibly they will include the dams in Budalangi. But what did I hear? That they are reinstating Kimwarere and Aror, where the water does not even disturb anybody. No water disturbs people in Aror and Kimwarere. That's why it has become a cash cow.
But really, let me speak about this Lower Nzoia irrigation project, because we're about to close in about 3 minutes. So if we could spare some time to speak about the Lower Nzoia irrigation project, why is it so important? How far with it? How far are we with it? And how are you addressing this?
Lower Nzoia project is a very important project because it empowers our people economically. This water, the water we are talking about, we should not look at the water we are talking about as our enemy.
Okay.
But we need to turn it into something that will empower our people economically. Even where they are going to do the dams. When they are doing the dams, they will definitely produce electricity. They will definitely do irrigation. They will definitely do fish, then they keep fish there. Then they will definitely build tourist hotels around there. Then they will have created employments. So for Lower Nzoia, as it runs down, it has been very expensive for the people of Budalangi to grow rice because they have been using electricity to pump water, pump-fed rice, and which has been very expensive. They could not compete. Now that we are giving them gravity water, the water that goes, you take it when you want. You don't pay. What you only pay is possibly little money to clean
how much is
the
little
canals.
Money? How much is little money? I have to ask.
For
those who have to pay, you're saying you don't have to use so much money. How much money?
Yes, they will be told at that time when
Okay.
it starts. Of course, it has not been launched yet,
All right.
but it's at the completion stage. In the next 1 month, I think it will be over, and then they start. But it will now we'll be able to compete selling our rice. It has been very difficult, especially when they import rice from this other country. They come here, sell it cheap. And us, it may be expensive. Sometimes brokers come from Uganda and make our people lose a lot of money.
All right.
But it will empower people economically.
We look forward to that as well. We will do our follow-up, and we are wrapping up this discussion. But the question that lingers in my mind is, don't we have a point of agreement that people do not get to suffer? Is there a way then that your constituency can work hand in hand with the government to make sure that this money is reach you? Are you making any further follow-ups, and how are you doing it?
Well, they have given us little food here and there.
All right.
Little food here and there. But is that enough? Is that sustainable?
Is there anything you can do to make it
whatever I do, the only thing that the government, it's the government that is supposed to do, because Anki, nobody pays to me taxes. Taxes are paid to the government. The government has these departments, relief department. The government has Ministry of Water, has National Water Harvesting and Storage. That is where the damming is supposed to be done. So let them just give them money to do that job. They know how to do it, where to do it, and how to do it.
All right. We'll have this conversation again. Thank you very much for creating time to be here, Honorable Raphael Wanjala, Member of Parliament, Budalangi. And you have heard it for yourselves. Our job here is to ask the right questions, the hard ones for that matter, and make the right follow-ups. We will make that follow-up continuously. But remember, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has equally and recently said, all politics is local. Listen to the ground. My name is Anki Dorisombat. There's still more coming in Kiswahili, and keep it right here for the whole story. Have a good day.
Thank you.